Thank you, Martin. Thank you, Ross, Lorraine, and the phenomenal team. Congratulations on your recent award. And frankly, for all that, it's been a great agenda and for generally celebrating digital health innovation. Or celebrating innovation generally. So just fantastic work. I'm going to walk you through, hopefully I'm going to try to cut through the slides pretty quickly, Ross, so there might be a lot of move forwards just so we keep the energy and the flow around the project. And I'm going to walk you through really two kind of living labs, one around the work that Health Beacon's doing for people that are being treated, that are treating themselves subcutaneously by injection in the home, largely on biologic medications, and then how we have sought to configure our Smart Sharps injection tracking technology to potentially help support COVID-19 vaccinations. So those are the two living labs, and I'll kind of move at pace walking through. So for those that, in case you didn't hit my name, I'm Jim Joyce. I'm the CEO, co-founder of Health Beacon. Health Beacon is an 8-year-old Irish digital health technology company. Our mission is to build smart tools for managing medications. We do that largely on a global basis. We work with large health systems, pharmaceutical companies, and we're big fans of trying to get our technology deployed in the Irish market for lots of reasons. One, we think we have lots to learn here, and we think we can probably import and bring ideas back and forth to the market. So just delighted that we have a platform like this to kind of share what we're working on and to learn there. So when we think just quickly on Health Beacon, we describe our technology as an injection care management system, and it's anchored around an innovation that we came up with, and we actually worked with large global pharmaceutical companies through their Irish affiliates like AbbVie Pharmaceuticals and Teva, where they had medications treating very serious conditions like multiple sclerosis and rheumatoid arthritis, and they were willing to provide a level of patient support, training, teaching patients how to learn how to inject themselves in the home setting, providing things like medical waste bins into the home and generalized support. And we came up with the idea of taking a medical waste bin that a patient needs to have in the home setting and turning that into a more sophisticated patient support tool. So by co-opting something that the patient's required to have, we could put in really smart passive monitoring and then start to engage them around support and be there if patients struggle to stay adherent to their medications. And so we've been doing that for some period of time, but now we've built off that hardware system to create a much more sophisticated patient support solution that I'll kind of walk you through. Maybe just go to the next slide. Awesome. So here's just kind of our, in terms of a living lab, we have over 5,000 patients that we've supported in the Irish market. And on a global basis, we've supported about 10,000 patients. And our technology, again, largely founded and invented here, has managed to get itself into 14 different markets. And we've tracked more than 430,000 injection events on a global basis. Our technology has been validated, not just here locally, but by the NHS, the FDA, and a number of different health systems globally. We kind of work agnostically across indications. So we work in respiratory and neurology and rheumatology and gastroenterology, to name a few. And if you look at the Irish market specifically, it's taken the area of neurology and rheumatology and gastro and dermatology conditions. There's at least, we're working with all of the hospitals across Ireland, and we have, every area of the specialty has at least some people using the Health Beacon device. So we have a system that's been out there and that's pretty tested. Maybe go to the next slide, Ross. So this is our, I talked before just about our technology stack. This is just a quick demonstration of our kind of a visual of our technology stack. We have this Health Beacon Smart Sharps bin. We're now in the process of launching a next generation, what we call Health Beacon Flexi technology that I'll show you in a minute. We have a very sophisticated data and machine learning team that sits here in our Dublin office that's looking for opportunities to improve and really work with the data that's being generated out of the patient's home in terms of tracking their ability to stay on their medication schedule. And then we're also in this month going to be launching our companion app to pair with our hardware technology. So we we believe right now that we have the most sophisticated and developed technology stack for tracking injectable medications when people have to do that in the home setting. Ross, go to the next slide. So let me just hit the next one there. It should play in a second. Great. So I'll just walk here in a few seconds. I'll just show you the technology and how it works here. What we've done is we've taken a traditional sharp spin, that meets all the standards of a classic sharp spin, and we've encased that in kind of an elegant patient support layer that allows us to provide a lot more than just safe disposal of a used injection. We get the patient's prescription schedule, we load that into the cloud, that informs our technology, and then the device lights up and alerts and lets patients know it's time to take their medication. Then they deposit their used syringe into our system, and that we use image recognition to see if the patient took the right medication at the right time. Our next generation product really builds off of our learnings from our earlier technology, where we have kind of flat packed our technology into a lid device to give us some modularity around form factor, size. We've introduced things like battery power and a Wi-Fi connectivity capability to complement our cellular capability that we use right now. This kind of form factor allows us to offer different size units for different use cases. For example, if your schedule is you need to take less medications, you might have a smaller unit, or you might have one that works kind of in a clinic setting. That all pairs with our Health Beacon companion app that gives the patients all their records and their adherence score and their tracking kind of in the palm of their hands, allows them to do practical things like manage injection sites. It allows them to change their reminders and schedules associated with it. And we kind of integrate that into kind of learning modules and other devices when we're thinking about, when we're trying to track and manage the patient in a more holistic sense. So all that technology kind of then is feeding into kind of a range of different clinical dashboards and pseudo-anonymized dashboards that might be used by health systems. So in a quick flash, that's our technology stack. And maybe we'll just go to the next slide. So when we were thinking, probably putting a little bow in the last one, that's the product that we have on the market all over the world, and we're going to keep growing. And that's really trying to help patients that need to take on self-care obligations that maybe historically they might have been treated in a hospital setting by a clinician. Now we can try to give them the support to treat them in the home setting. When the COVID-19 pandemic hit, we thought about, we're in Ireland and we have what we believe to be the world's most sophisticated injection tracking system. We thought about, could we have a role in helping deal with this pandemic and helping the efficient delivery and administration associated with vaccinations. So we went about on a fairly quick design sprint, and we recalibrated our technology to be able to track COVID-19 vaccinations in what we describe as a kind of a mobile clinic environment. So we took our hardware, and a patient port, we added a patient companion app, and we added a nursing app, and we integrated that all into our dashboard system. We built out that technology. We'll go to the next slide. And that technology, we kind of imagined, we had the benefit of having a team of product designers and nurses that had run vaccination clinics and medics, and obviously technologists. And we thought about all the challenges that are going to be faced in the pressure that healthcare systems are going to be under to quickly deploy technology. So we thought about that, and we built out our tech stack to allow all the consenting and activity and validation of patients through a companion app and record keeping and tracking to happen outside the clinic. We reconfigured our hardware, our vaccination tracking system, so it could integrate into a module that confirmed absolutely tracked and traced whether a vaccination had been delivered. And then we built out a nursing app. And we put those 4 modules together so that they could live either individually or they could live side by side to each other if they wanted to be deployed in a mobile clinic environment. And go to the next slide. So with that, what fundamentally we wanted to try to be able to do is, or we thought the use case would be, is that could the Health Beacon's Smart Sharp Spin serve as a passive monitoring kind of clinic opportunity to ensure that vaccinations didn't go lost or missing, or we could do fraud, and we could make sure we didn't have any diversion of vaccinations, and we give absolute comfort without putting any additional work onto the nurse or the clinician, and kind of frankly take some work off of their hands. We go to the next slide. And so to validate our technology, we took our offices here in Dublin and we built up a pop-up influenza clinic, and we recruited about 50 patients to receive their annual flu vaccination, in our offices. We vaccinated and validated the technology to make sure everything was working. If you go to the next slide. We had excellent feedback. We surveyed the people that went through the clinic, and we got a very high, what's called a net promoter score for people on here, which means the likelihood that people would recommend the clinic or experience or technology, to a friend or a family member. We felt that if we could create a very pleasant experience for the vaccinations, that would encourage people to actually get vaccinated, and to take the condition really seriously, and also maybe even help with compliance if 2 vaccinations were needed. If you go to the next slide. Since we had such detailed tracking of the whole vaccination process, we were able to do some really cool things around modeling and data. For example, our total clinical appointment on average was 3 minutes and 5 seconds, of which our time to vaccinate was much shorter than that. That allowed us to model out the whole impact of like how many clinics would you need to be able to vaccinate a population. I'll go to the next slide. I'll move through quick, Ross. And we did some other interesting things with that, is since Health Beacon uses a total sustainability approach to our vaccination, and we use a reusable sharp spin, we realized that just with the sheer number of sharp spins that were going to be required, that we could save the system a lot of money and reduce carbon emissions by using Health Beacon's reusable sharp spins. And this is just outlining some of the impact of that emissions and potentially cost savings that could happen with reusable tech. And this just describes how, in our thinking of that, we realized that we might not be the total solution for everywhere, but if our technology was needed in a modular session, say just with the sharp spin, just with the smart sharp spin, or if the broader system was needed to increase vaccination capacity, we felt that we could be here to service that. If you go to the next slide. And then this is just kind of for us as an ambitious, enthusiastic company. We're looking to continue to work with smart people that's on the call, Martin and Ross and Lorraine and team, build out what we really feel is a powerful hardware and software technology stack, that could be deployed in the Irish market, but really on a global stage, and really with the objective of driving down the burden of care for people that need to take medications by injections. So Ross, I think that's my presentation. Might have been a little long for you. I know everything's running tight.
Thank you, Jim, for a great presentation, really inspiring. And to think that this has all been done out of Dublin. Your first living lab is really extensive, over 3,000 patients. It must be one of the largest living labs for the Internet of Medical Things. So we hope that continues to grow. And I had the honor and the privilege of actually getting my flu vaccination in the Health Beacon pop-up lab, and it was an exquisite experience in about 3 minutes. So I hope you're part of the solution, in whatever shape that takes form. So thanks again for a great presentation.